Moshi Resick,
Here.
Gilberto Rodriguez,
Here.
Isaac Slacken,
Here.
Ada Gonzalez. Here. Moshi Bender.
Here.
I am going to do a read-in to approve the contract of Michael Enzelbach as General Counsel as prepared by David Rubin and reviewed and approved by state monitors on August 17, 2017. I need a motion to accept board counsel.
Motion.
Second. I'm going to do roll call. Moshi Newhouse.
Yes.
Moshi Resick.
Yes.
Gilberto Rodriguez.
Yes.
Isaac Slacken.
Yes.
Ada Gonzalez.
Yes.
Moshi Bender.
Yes.
I need to now do a motion to go back
Motion.
into executive session.
Motion.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
How much time do we need?
But we don't need that long.
15 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. When you bring that here.
5 minutes, 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
Okay, so we need,
We gotta bring the attorney out.
Legal.
how much time? 15 minutes. So we'll be back at 8:05.
If you get a second.
Motion to come back into open session.
Second.
I'm going to do roll call. Moshi Newhouse.
Yes.
Moshi Resick.
Yes.
Gilberto Rodriguez.
Yes.
Isaac Slacken.
Yes.
Ada Gonzalez.
Yes.
Moshi Bender.
Yes.
We're going to move into recognition of the public, and I am going to call the first person, Kim Shaw.
I decided not to speak, thank you.
Fred Rush. Mr. Rush.
The long that.
Deborah Long. Ms. Long, you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Deborah Long. I'm the principal at Clifton Avenue Grade School. I'm speaking in response to the statement that was made at the meeting on Monday by Ms. Winters, stating that there needed to be a change in administration at Clifton Avenue. I'm just going to share a few comments that was made to me via letters by staff members at my building. These letters were written to me not by me asking, they were written voluntarily. The assistant principal, Ms. Maldonado, has made, hold on, I'm having a hard time saying, has made it a point to get to know her staff and students' strengths and areas of weakness in order to provide praise and constructive criticism. In the past, I have had the privilege to work with Ms. Maldonado in learning how to help specific students who struggle behaviorally. After constructing a plan and implementing the plan of action, Ms. Maldonado made it a point to check in with both myself and the students to ensure progress was being made. Not only does she assist and monitor students and staff throughout the school year, Ms. Maldonado advocates for the correct placement of the students in her school by contacting teachers over the summer for data-based advice. As an evaluator, Ms. Maldonado not only provides positive feedback and constructive criticism, but also ideas and sources for staff to refer to in order to improve their practice. Ms. Maldonado has high expectations for her staff and students and models that with her own work ethic. All that Ms. Maldonado asks of her staff and students is for them to come to school each day ready to work and learn and be respectful to one another. She truly cares for her staff and students. She will be the first one to reach out to staff to assist families in need and to congratulate and console her staff. Many of our students arrive here as newcomers from other countries. They face social and linguistic issues such as culture shock, and sometimes express their anxiety through a silent period during their first few days of school. Ms. Maldonado is the one to first welcome them to the school. She is sensitive to these cross-cultural communication issues involved. She is among the first to develop these relationships with these students. This dedication is crucial in bringing about successful outcomes for our learners. Ms. Maldonado's leadership at Clifton Avenue ensures that our learners and parents feel empowered and supported.
30 seconds.
Okay, I would love to start the school year knowing I can count on not only Ms. Maldonado, but I can count on the dynamic leadership that Ms. Maldonado and Ms. Long can bring to Clifton. And in closing, I just want to say that Ms. Winters has hired me as a principal at Clifton Avenue Grade School, and I would hope that she would respect me in my opinion of Ms. Maldonado as my vice principal and what she brings to Clifton Avenue Grade School.
Ms. Long, thank you. Annette Maldonado.
Good evening, Superintendent Winters, Board of Education members, and district faculty members. On August 9th, I stood before you to defend the unwarranted transfer being proposed. I informed you that I had been and continue to be treated unfairly, unjustly, and unethically. I asked, when is enough enough? The transfer that night was voted down. 3 workdays later, on Monday, August 14th, I stood before you a second time. Again, I presented evidence-based truths about my upstanding service at Clifton Avenue Grade School and to this district. And I also reiterated the unjust treatment I continue to receive. I stand before you once again this evening, August 17th. There is no valid or evidence-based reason for the proposed transfer because it does not exist. So allow me to share my reality. There has been a calculated and intentionally designed agenda that has blatantly targeted me and my reputation, which is what has brought me before you a third time. Am I a target because of my gender, my age, my ethnicity, my culture, my language, my spirituality, my character, or my strength in leadership? Or maybe I'm targeted because of all of these things. This is how I am being made to feel. This evening I face triple jeopardy. Again, I'm gonna ask all of you, when is enough enough? I reiterate that I am a true professional, I am a respectable, knowledgeable, and caring educator in person. I carry myself with dignity and integrity at all times for 2 reasons. Because that is who I am, that is how I was raised, and because of who lives in me, my Creator and my Savior. The truth, which has been proven over and over again, is that with great passion and commitment, I have faithfully served the children, families, and teachers of Clifton, in that specific order. I hold staff members to high expectations and provide positive and meaningful feedback, because that is what I was hired and trained to do by our superintendent. Now understand that there are a small number of faculty members who do not share my philosophy, or the order of my philosophy, because for me, students come first. And therein lies the rub. In life, no matter where you work, you cannot please all of the people all of the time. That is impossible. But at CAGS, I know and I can prove that I have respectful and professional relationships with the majority of the staff, and I am supported by that majority. Mrs. Winters and Board of Education members, I ask you to ponder 2 questions. Number 1, what does a loyal, committed, honest, and selfless person have to do to be treated fairly, justly, and ethically in this district?
30 seconds.
And number 2, how can it be that I stand before you a third time? Now I ask you to reflect on what is truly happening at CAGS. A teacher who resigned this year to take a job elsewhere said it the best. She said, I respect you both tremendously. You balance the role of administrations terrifically. I was always so happy at work. I truthfully could not stomach the union. They brought such negativity to the staff. You two were the reason I almost did not leave. So tonight I respectfully ask you to support me and vote no to the proposed transfer, because ethically it's the right thing to do for the well-being of our students, their families, and our teachers.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you so
Maldonado.
much. Blessings to you all.
Michelle Jackson.
Okay, here last month, I spoke to you, Mrs. Winters. Mrs. Winters, when I was here last month, I spoke to you about a problem I was having with my daughter's child study worker. I haven't heard from you all month. Can I get an update? The only person I've heard from is Mrs. Marshall.
Yes, the issue has been addressed, but I cannot speak to you about personnel issues on how they were addressed.
Okay, that's going to tell me that nothing was done. Nothing. You have a child study worker lying to your public school parents, telling them there's no funding for public school programs. You have this child study worker telling parents that there is no funding. They're not even looking for funding. She's just telling parents that she's looking and there is none. I have the text and I have the emails. The second thing I want to know is, what in the world is this board thinking? What did she do to deserve a $30,000 raise? 2 months ago, she wasn't competent to keep her job. We have lost all these educators, teachers, administrators. What a friggin' kick in the teeth this is to the parents in this town, to the kids in this town, to these teachers. We can't get raises for our teachers. Teachers are coming out of their pocket for school supplies, for everything. And 2 months ago, she didn't deserve her job. What happened in 2 months that she deserves $30,000 extra a year? Any one of y'all want to answer that?
Great question. Great question.
$30,000. I believe I have 2 minutes left. I can wait. Does somebody want to answer why she's getting an extra $30,000 a year? And Ms. Winters, to be honest with you, when we were at that town meeting and you came up to me outside of that meeting and you looked me dead eye and said, Ms. Jackson, I promise you I'm going to make this right. You think putting that $30,000 in your pocket is making it right for these kids? You and Mr. Ian both came up to me after that meeting. Both of you. And I talked to you about Mr. Maldonado and all these teachers we lost, and you said you were going to make this right. Does putting $30,000 in your pocket for doing nothing for a failing district make it right? I'm coming woman to woman. Let's just be honest here. Let's just cut the crap. Did you deserve that $30,000 raise? Or do these kids deserve the books? Or do these teachers deserve something? Or do we deserve to start the school year with not having substitutes? $30,000, Ms. Winters. I still got a minute left. Y'all, this is okay with y'all? I'm looking at every one of you. Who did this? $30,000.
30 seconds.
Okay, so somebody, I'm going to keep asking the same question over and over and over, and next time I come, I'm going to fill this room. So can we at least get the respect? You want involved parents, you're not going to find a more involved parent than me. Can somebody give us an answer? Please. I didn't think so. I'll be back. I'm going to be the thought of every one of y'all's nightmares.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Tracy Tiff, if I can ask that name.
This is not going to take long at all. Tracy Tepp to Lakewood. The board members that are up there right now, that are here today, they need to follow suit with the other board members that resigned, because my belief is that you guys are totally useless. You are lacking the performance of your job. You're failing the district. You're failing the students. The state monitor, I don't know you, but I feel the exact same way. You need to go back to Trenton and tell the governor that you're ineffective. You're useless. You're not doing your job. Thank you.
Thank you. Juliana Soares.
Good evening. My name is Juliana Soares, and I'm speaking today on behalf of Mrs. Maldonado, and respectfully asking the Lakewood Board of Education members to reconsider Mrs. Maldonado's transfer to the Lakewood High School. As a second grade bilingual teacher, I stand here again to explain how, for the last 5 years, Mrs. Maldonado has served as a mentor and a consistent administrator at the Clifton Avenue Grade School. Every year, you know, board members and Mrs. Winters, we go through a reduction in force and lose many dedicated staff members. As a result, students face many changes year in and year out. Last Thursday, I stood here and explained what a valuable asset Mrs. Maldonado is to our Clifton Avenue Grade School students. We serve a unique and diverse community, and her ability to reach not only the students, but their family is invaluable. However, today I'll speak in reference to her leadership in our school, which I feel it has been taken for granted by some. Mrs. Winters and board members, an effective school leader leads by example. I have watched Mrs. Maldonado carry herself in and outside of school with professionalism and dignity. She remains calm during times of chaos. For instance, the bus issue we had in the beginning of last school years, we all remember, where she for weeks reassured frantic parents that came to school to look for their children who were missing for several hours. She supervised that all office staff checked every ID and all rules and regulations were being followed, even when the police showed up. She took control of the situation, like she does always, and solved all issues. As an effective school leader, Mrs. Maldonado challenges teachers to create goals and provide ongoing support for them. She does not allow students or teachers to get away with mediocrity. She holds everyone accountable for their actions and provides supports. For instance, every walkthrough has provided me with meaningful feedback on my teaching and positively reflected on my formal evaluations. One person cannot be held responsible for the cultural climate of our school. It is a collective and collaborative effort to create a thriving cultural environment. As I read once, one person can plant a tomato in a desert, and everyone could watch how quickly it will shrivel up. But if one person plants the tomato, and another gives water, and another provides the mulch, we can produce amazing fruits for everyone. Mrs. Winters, board members, I leave you to this with all due respect. I believe it would be a mistake to transfer Mrs. Maldonado to the Lakewood High School. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Soros, thank you. Tracy Brennan.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Brennan, and this is my 15th year teaching in the Lakewood School District. I currently teach second grade STEM at Clifton Avenue Grade School. When I learned that Miss Maldonado was being transferred, I was deeply disappointed. Miss Maldonado has had a profound impact on the students and staff at Clifton Avenue Grade School and would be a huge loss to those who rely on her unique leadership. Miss Maldonado has been a positive force in a district that has its share of challenges. Research shows that consistency is central to an effective school administration, and Miss Maldonado has exemplified that in the culture of consistency, where everyone knows the rules, the acceptable work performance standards, and the consequences for not following through. Students and staff are familiar with Ms. Maldonado's implementation of school rules and policies. She offers constructive feedback and engenders the desire to make teachers the best they can be in order to deliver the best classroom experience for our student body. Her consistency is evident in her many working relationships with her staff to her daily greetings of students every morning. Ms. Maldonado consistently makes positive connections with students and is a role model for many and makes an invaluable contribution to the lives of these children. As an example, Ms. Maldonado uses the opportunity to play learning games with the children while waiting for bus dismissal as a means to make learning fun and engage students in a non-formal setting. On many occasions, change is a healthy act of renewal, but not in the case of Ms. Maldonado. Clifton Avenue Grade School needs the consistency and leadership that has sustained morale and provided guidance during some very difficult times. I am of the sincere opinion that the decision to move Ms. Maldonado would put at risk some of the very children who benefit from her leadership and consistency. Please reconsider the decision and allow the most vulnerable students in our district the benefit of sound administrative leadership and the consistency of a professional dedicated to their success. Thank you.
Thank you. Pastor Glenn Wilson.
Good evening, Pastor Glenn Wilson. I would like to ask the board members, how many of you have taken a tour of the high school? and seeing all the successes that we have had in the last couple of years, and all the things that are implemented, things that we talked about years ago, that are now implemented, and how this school is thriving. You know, graduation rates are up, discipline is under control. I mean, thriving in every area. How many of you board members have actually taken the time to go and look at these schools and how they're doing?
They don't care.
See, I know the answer is none of you. So how then can you make a decision tonight to move Mr. Finklin when Mr. Finklin is part of the success that our kids are having? I'll tell you why Mr. Finklin is being moved. It has nothing to do with education. It's personal. And that needs to concern you. If you're having a problem in one school, you should not disturb the other school to fix the problem in another school. If you really care about our children, which, you know what, we know you don't. Every decision you have made this summer hurts our kids. It doesn't help our kids. And if you know the truth about how these schools are doing, you'll be so careful to move people that are key to their success. But you don't know that. Once again, I want to remind this board, you do not represent our children. You are not on this board for us. You're on there for you. Michael, please clear the air. It is our understanding that you are being sent back to our district to deliver one of our schools to the private, to the private sector. Just clear the air for us that this is not true. Okay, it is our understanding that you are being sent back by your leaders to our district to deliver to them one of our schools. Just clear the air that this is not true.
Mr. President, may I address, I'm not going to engage in this dialogue each time, but...
I mean, it's only good that you address it now because that's what's...
Wait, give me a sec, Glenn.
Okay.
And I'm with you. May do I have your permissions? And this shouldn't set a precedent, but I will say this clearly. I do not know, and I know we have had our ups and downs, but lately ups. I am not familiar with any plan. I'm not familiar, because I'm not always told everything either. But I have no idea. I am surely not selling any school. And if you want to, again, I don't want to do this dialogue this next, but
You said enough.
I said enough.
You said enough, but I want to say to the board that please reconsider. Because this move, Mr. Finklin, I know for a fact that his move is personal. It's personal. It has nothing to do with education. Why would you send Mr. Finklin, a black man that does not speak Spanish, to a school where we need somebody that's bilingual? It is personal.
Say it again. Say it again.
Don't do it.
Annette Kearney.
So I'll pick up where he left off. That absolutely makes no sense. I've worked with both Mrs. Maldonado as well as Mr. Finklin. Mrs. Maldonado, when she was at the middle school. Laura, I worked with you on the SIG grant. When we were trying to get the money into the district on the SIG grant, we talked about these academies way back then. So Mr. Finklin has been instrumental in helping with these academies in the high school. Also, the success in the high school. It absolutely makes no sense, especially after you all made us all sit through presentation after presentation of how well things were going. If it is a situation, I'm a manager, I have 60-something people under me. If there's a personnel conflict, you, superintendent, at $195,000 plus a year, you should be offering some professional development. You should be meeting with these people and coming up with a plan that protects everybody without putting our kids in the middle. Because it is true. Mr. Finklin, do you speak Spanish enough to interact with these parents, the kids, without jeopardizing the education of any of the children. Any of them.
No,
Think about it. He just said, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. So why would you move him out of the high school where he's thriving and helping the community in the high school thrive?
Mr. President, there are all valid concerns and questions. I think what we should do, but this is your decision, I think the board should hear all the comments and there should be responses, but so there's not duplication. Ms. Winters did show the board in closed session, and Ms. Maldonado, who I do know for many years, she has asked, and I'd like her, I would like her to confirm, is Ms. Maldonado, I can't see, unfortunately, not to, Annette, are you, Ms. Maldonado, you're here? Ms. Maldonado, I was told I did not see a hard copy. They asked to have her situated, and now being showed it. Sorry. Ms. Maldonado, I'm just looking at something where you wrote, "Good afternoon, this serves as my written request that the Board of Ed discuss any and all matters related to me, and that Maldonado in public, as stipulated in the Rice letter, which I received on Tuesday, August 15th. Ms. Maldonado, I assumed, again, I'm just being very careful. You did write that email, I assume, and you still want your employee discussed in public? 100%. Okay, I know you, so just confirmed it. So that will be done at the end. As far as Mr. Finklin, unless, and again, I don't know, if there's something he wrote to, is Mr. Finklin here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, there you go. Okay, sorry. Mr. Finklin, I do not believe wants his, I don't know, I'm asking, does not want his employee discussed in public. Unless he is changing that, then it would be prohibited for the board to discuss that in public.
I sent an email that had it discussed in public.
Okay, see, I learned. Nothing has changed here. So, Mr. Finklin, I'm glad I asked. And you're here. So I don't have anything because I was just hired. But I was told in closed session that there was, let me just finish please. So again, I'm not saying you didn't, I don't have it, I shouldn't have it, but you sent it to the superintendent?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so with that, Mr. Fink, it's his employee, it's his right, and he is permitting this to be discussed in public, am I clear?
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, which is news to the board, and Ms. Winters doesn't have it, but we're not going to get into procedure, we're going to get into substance and Mr. Fink, you're okay with that being discussed in public?
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, I didn't mean to take time, but I'm responding to, I think, what you asked. So, these two...
I'm good with that.
Okay.
After all the public comments,
Yeah, okay.
then we're going to come back to this, correct?
Ms. Winters is going to have to address these issues in public, based on the, Ms. Maldonado, and again, I'm sorry,
It's right here.
she said it's fine, she wrote it, and Mr. Finklin, who I'm sure he did technology into great here, maybe, I don't know, but it's going to be discussed in public at the end. Okay? Okay?
This is fine. Bob, and I can't read the last name. Is there a Bob that signed up? And the last name looks like Thomas, A-U-Y-D.
It was Eileen.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to move to the last one. It's
And I'm Eileen.
Eileen in the last name?
Is Eileen after that?
Yes. Your last name, ma'am?
Fraser.
Fraser.
Eileen Fraser.
Okay, Eileen Frazier.
Hi, I would like to speak on behalf of Mrs. Maldonado. I'm a parent of my daughter Imani Thomas that attends Clifton Avenue Grade School.
Could you speak into the microphone, please?
My name is Eileen Fraser. I'm a parent of a student that attends Clifton Avenue Grade School, Imani Thomas. And I just became aware of what's going on. And I want to speak on behalf of Mrs. Maldonado because she's a great assistant principal. And she's done nothing but great things for the school. My daughter's going to the 4th grade, so my daughter's been attending since 1st grade. So I know her personally, as well as I know Mrs. Long. And I feel that it's very unfair that you guys are considering taking someone so prominent in that school out of that school. She does a lot for the children there. She done a lot for my daughter. I had an incident in 1st grade when my daughter was in 1st grade that she came in and immediately she helped and assisted me on the situation. And she rectified the situation, as a matter of fact. But my daughter also wants to speak on behalf of Mrs. Maldonado. What's more than to hear it from a student that attends that school?
I would like to say a few words about Miss Maldonado. I don't understand why you guys are taking Miss Maldonado out of my school. And she's a very nice woman, and she has helped me with my problems and everything. She solved them, and I don't really understand why you guys are taking her from my school. I really don't understand, and I want to know why you're taking her from my school. Why you consider her taking? Wait.
Considering taking her
Why are you considering taking her away from us and the rest of the school?
Is there an answer? No. Somebody needs to answer her. Yes, and this is a child.
As the attorney said, Ms. Winters will have a chance after the recognition of the public to talk about the reasons.
This is coming from a child. You understand? This is coming from a student, not just the parent. I'm a parent. I'm an advocate for my daughter and for the school. But as well, this is my daughter speaking from her heart. She is very upset about this. And I think at least she can get an answer, maybe not an adult, but a child. She's only 9 years old.
She will so.
Now, I think he's the private element. Actually, answer a question.
I think you're the last. Is she the last one on the list?
Yes, she is, and
So
if we can move to the rights notices of Ms. Maldonado and Mr. Finklin at this point.
As your attorney, I'm only going to give you legal advice. What I now understand is that both employees are here. Both employees are here. Both employees have asked to be allowed to have their proposed transfers discussed in public. I know they said yes, I'm just saying it again. So I am only giving you legal advice that Mr. President and Board, if Ms. Winters has recommendations, which again I don't know, but I know of, we all were here at another meeting. So with the President's permission, are you addressing, in this instance, as it is, employees have asked to have their discussion in public?
Yes.
So I would suggest, but only in legal terms you discuss, there can't be an interaction. Ms. Winters is going to, if you would address whichever employee, they're both here, and they both have written, and go ahead with Mr. Bender's permission. Yes.
The first thing I would like to address with the board is that we have several schools that absolutely do not have any administrators who only speak English, and there is no issue at all in any of the schools. So there's no issue communicating with parents or students in those schools, and they are very successful at what they do. And they have very good relationships with those parents and students as well. They have translators, they have parent liaisons, they have bilingual staff members, so that is not an issue that I think, or a concern in any of those schools. I have no issues with Major Finklin. It is absolutely not a personal issue, so I don't even know where that came from. I was shocked when that is even brought up. And I would like to say, in order to create an optimum learning environment, there are certain non-negotiables that all administrators need to focus on. One being student safety, another one teaching and learning, and another one would be a positive climate and culture, which includes building relationships with the entire school community. Unfortunately, this is something that I feel is greatly missing at the Clifton Avenue Grade School. I've made several staff changes the past few months, and I feel this last administrative change is crucial to bringing everything together to benefit the students and staff of the Clifton Avenue Grade School. I truly believe Mr. Finkling's positive mindset and strong commitment to Lakewood students will help the students and staff excel, which is the reason why I chose Mr. Finkling to go to the Clifton Avenue Grade School. I looked at the assistant principals throughout the community, school community, and I specifically chose him for that reason. He has a great rapport with staff, and I felt his strength, bringing that to Clifton Avenue, would be a plus. Ms. Maldonado has many years at the secondary level. She was actually a world language teacher at Lakewood High School for 16 years. She was an assistant principal at Lakewood Middle School for 1 year. She was a Lakewood Middle School principal for 3 years. And I felt her strengths, along with the assistant principals and the high school principal, would be a strength. They would all work together, and it would be a plus at Lakewood High School. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
You mentioned the climate
Yes.
that you're trying to improve at the Clifton
Correct.
School. What specifically are you referring to?
I've received many complaints over the past year and a half from the staff. They felt they weren't being supported. In fact, there was a mediation between the LEA and the LAA, which are the two unions. It had not improved, and I feel making a change. The school cannot move forward unless there is an administrative change.
So there was a mediation with the union, and what specific complaints did the union bring to you?
Well, they actually, it's done before it goes to the next level, so it's done between both unions, so.
But the union came to you with complaints about the climate and the relationship between the teachers and...
It was constant, it was ongoing.
Was an ongoing conflict between the teachers and...
And the administration.
And that came from the union officials, right?
Correct.
What is the nature of the conflict between the teachers and Ms. Maldonado?
Can you repeat that?
What is the nature of the conflict that they've been complaining that they feel that she is not being supportive of?
That they don't feel supported
In what regard?
Instructional, student behaviors. They just felt that the administration wasn't there for them.
Without naming names, could you give a specific example?
So if there were walkthroughs, they felt the feedback wasn't supportive, and if they needed assistance, it wasn't there. That the administrators weren't attending PLCs after school. That there was a difference between what was expected from one administrator. Well, one administrator wasn't right, so I have to be careful.
Are any of the staff who have complaints here this evening? Are any of the staff who have complaints, are they here this evening to make statements?
I don't know. I don't think they understand that.
Mr. Ritzik,
The union president, I don't know if the union president is here, I don't know.
They don't want to make statements.
They don't want to make statements.
That's why some of the staff is not here. That was their statement.
Can I hear what she said?
The staff does not want to speak out. Is there a reason?
Why?
We can't, this is just legal advice. We gotta be consistent, as much as you,
It has to be between the board and myself.
Right, so.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Motion to approve transfers? Can I make a motion to approve the transfers?
I have a quick question.
There's a question, I think.
If this was a legal case and there's two parts of this scenario.
Not only can I see her, I can't hear either.
There's one party, the other party doesn't show up. who wins this case?
I will speak in general terms because I do not, if there was one party showing up in court, which this is not, you would be defaulted, which means the other party, that this is not a court case as far as I know, but that was what would happen. If typically at OAL, which is the system that handles many education, not all, they give a 30-minute window, and if you don't show up, unless you have good cause. So if that answers you, but I don't want there to be an analogy because this is not a court matter, but responding to your legal question.
Can I respectfully address, I asked that I wanted to be spoken in public, and things have been said about me, about my reputation and my character. I feel I have the right to rebut, to say a statement.
I have a question before that. Mrs. Winters, whatever the union alleged that was a conflict, was that done in writing? Do we have documentation about it?
The union has a lot of things in writing.
The union
The
has
LA
a lot.
has a lot of things in writing.
Okay.
They would have to get it from the teachers. Well, the fear is from the teachers is that they don't want to come because they're afraid there would be retribution if they came and spoke out, if their transfer wasn't made. So that would be the reason they would not be here.
But there is documentation that LE has in terms of the conflict, the ongoing conflict that was happening before, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Winters, why do you feel that it would not be an issue for her to be in high school, having that same personality or whatever the issues were?
There are 3 assistant principals and a principal at the high school. At the elementary level, there's only 1 principal and 1 assistant principal. And Mr. Finken has a very supportive personality, and his strength is that he's very supportive, and I feel that Mr. Finken would do a great job at the elementary school level.
Okay. Are we done?
I would still like to say something on my behalf.
Again, I am noticed my sea change here. I just can give legal advice. Let the board first finish their questions and then, yes, just hang in.
Okay. Ms. Winters, if she said that she has experience in the secondary level, why do you think that she's so adamant against the transfer?
I cannot answer a question for someone else.
For nothing that you've heard?
I don't go on hearsay.
Mr. Ritter, that's Ms. Maldonado's decision. That's not.
I didn't know if she got anything in writing as a response. Why
Ms. Maldonado was a Lakewood High School world language teacher for 16 years, was an assistant principal at Lakewood Middle School for 1 year, was a principal at Lakewood Middle School for 3 years, and has been an assistant principal at Clifton Avenue Grade School for 5 years.
All right, like Ms. Maldonado had said, this is the 3rd time that we're going through this. The first time we voted in their favor, so I don't know why we keep coming back to the table for the same thing. And she has proven her case. Mr. Finken has proven his case. Anyone that has anything negative to say, for some reason, chickened out. So they must be lying or, telling me stuff. So I say that this board votes to keep everybody where they are and move on. The 3rd time, we have better things to do. Our school is in crisis. We have better things to do.
You actually never asked questions.
Okay.
Ms. Maldonado, the first time, did say that she emailed you and you never emailed her back. I remember
And
that.
then I didn't, and the board was told not to ask questions by the other attorneys, so no one got to ask questions, quite honestly.
Okay, but we're all here now. We're moving forward.
So that is why it was brought up again, so that the
Are
board
we
can
having
actually
a vote?
ask questions.
Okay, or Ms. Maldonado is given a chance to speak.
All right, I want to hear Ms. Maldonado, please.
That would be a decision the board as a whole can make.
Should we vote on that?
Can you let Ms. Maldonado talk?
Mr. President.
Mr. President? That's up to you.
Yes.
Good, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. Mrs. Winters has made quite a few allegations that are very untrue. Yes, it is true that she was receiving complaints, okay? They were complaints that were going straight to her, weren't even coming to the administration at the building level, which is protocol. First and foremost, it should come to us, Mrs. Long and myself. That was not happening. All these complaints that were going to her, if they were going to her for a year and a half, Mrs. Winters, why is it that you never came into our building and had a conversation with us? Why is it that you never took time to come in and speak to the teachers, yourself personally, to find out what's going on? Because what I said tonight, and I'm going to stand by it, and I can prove it, is that there is an agenda. I am the target of that agenda. It is unfair. It is unethical. I will get to the bottom of what that agenda is. Promise you that. But you never, the first time in 6 years you spoke to me as a professional was the day, Thursday morning, after I spoke the first time. Which means, in my estimation, someone put you up to it. Because in 6 years you never spoke a word to me. And all of these complaints, and you couldn't have a conversation, professional to professional, woman to woman? Not once. Not once. And now, you want to take and transfer me yet again with no real reason and purpose? Remember the first time. I'll refresh your memory. It was Oak Street School. When they took me out of the middle school and put me at Oak Street. I was there for 2.5 weeks. And what did you do? You transferred me. You transferred me from Miss Helen Tobia. Okay? So this goes way back, and it goes way deep. So when I stand here and I
didn't
speak...
have the power to transfer. I wasn't the superintendent back then. I was the principal of Oak Street School.
You made that change.
I did not make that change.
Mrs. Silva made the change from the middle school, and then when I got there, whether it is or not, it happened. And now yet again, unfounded and unreasonable.
Ms. Silva was the superintendent.
But my question still stands. It still stands. Why couldn't you come speak to us? A year and a half. You were the superintendent. You were supposed to support us. You were supposed to hear us and have communication. And in 6 years, I get my first communication the morning after I speak on a Wednesday night meeting? Come on now. Come on now, it's just not right. It's not real. You can't make things up that have no proof.
Mr. Isabel.
Sorry.
I know that you're a legal attorney. We voted on this already, okay, to leave everyone where they are, and we won. So I don't know why we're going through this 3 times. I put it in your hands now.
My hands.
From what you heard, and saw.
All I can say is legally, because I am here only as lawyer, is that it is a quandary to me how this is occurring. I was in the audience, actually, back and forth, I don't know when it was, but it was. And I heard you tonight say that your former counsel said you can't ask any questions. That's what I heard. I don't know. From what I understand, and we're not looking for this to occur every meeting, but legal, again, in general terms, the board should be permitted to ask questions. I don't speak for Ms. Maldonado, but I'm sure she allowed last time to be in public also. I don't know where she is, but oh, sorry. I assume she let it be last time also in public. Okay. Right, no, hold on. It didn't happen. I don't know why it didn't happen. That was your former, you're saying, I don't know, why, and I'm not here to criticize. Now, all I can tell you is now you've had a healthy exchange as the employee requested, both in writing and, again, verbally, and you have now been permitted, because that is the law. You've now had questions, you've now had answers. Are there any remaining questions of the board? Mr. Franklin, I'm sorry. I'm going to take a seat back. That's what I promised myself. So,
good evening. I'm Major Franklin, assistant principal at Lakewood High School, and somewhat difficult to speak logic to a seemingly illogical situation. It really is. And while I appreciate, Ms. Winters, your faith in my abilities to somehow bring a staff together in ways that the current administration can't, my main focus, and I think all the administrators' focus, is on the students. And there's no way, and I'm not sure anyone sitting up there can be convinced that this move benefits the students in both buildings. It just doesn't. I've been a business education teacher for 11 years before I became an administrator. I was coordinator of the business department. I was Perkins Grant Coordinator, which is a technology grant where it was a $344,000 grant that I administered for all of our enterprise programs, our culinary, our TV production, our fashion, those programs that got them started. I started the program for recording arts. My experience has been at the secondary level, and I've really tried to do a good job there, and not only dealing with the staff, but dealing with the students as well. And in that vein, I just don't know how it can be seen as a benefit to take me out of that environment and put me in an elementary school where I have no experience. And Ms. Maldonado, and I've known her for several years, and irrespective of the fact that we have other schools that don't have Spanish speakers and are doing well, she does very well in that school, and she works well with the principal there. And so, on balance, I just can't see where that move is going to make that building stronger. It's going to make it weaker, and it's going to make the high school weaker. And I'm sure, and in speaking to my partner over here, Mr. Riley, Ms. Maldonado coming over to high school, she's going to do a good job wherever she is. I'm going to do a good job. That's what we do. But it's not going to make those schools stronger because our specific skill set are better matched where we are. And so I would implore you, as Ms. Gonzalez says, we voted on this, and I don't know the legalities of it, but when we talk about double jeopardy, I mean, don't we vote and then we move on? Why do we keep voting on this thing over? Are we ever going to have any peace with this, or do we always have to worry if we're going to be transferred? You know, at some point, we've got to move on. We have to feel confident that in our positions, and we want to be able to start the school year on a strong note. This is no way to start a school year. Not even at this point, you know, for us to have to wonder where we're going to be. We should be planning to move ahead and building those alliances with our other administrators, not worrying if we're going to be in that school or not. I need to be planning for the Business Academy. The Business Academy, Ms. Winters, from what I understand, is your initiative. And we understood it was very important to you, and it was very important to us. We've done a lot of work on it. And I want to see it come to fruition. I want to be here. Ms. Maldonado wants to be in her school working on the programs that she's been planning with Ms. Long. And so we ask you, and you've been accused of some things, maybe rightfully or wrongfully, of maybe trying to destroy the district. This is a time when you can come together and at least show us on this occasion that we matter, that the public schools matter, that Lakewood High School matters, that Clifton Avenue matters. And you can show that tonight by voting this transfer down. And I thank you for your attention.
Can we put closure to this tonight, please?
Can I get a motion?
There actually is no resolution to do a transfer.
And the vote was already done last time?
Yeah, the vote was already done to leave everyone where they are.
That is correct.
We did not have the information, Ms. Gonzalez. I don't know, but I'm sure you heard that there's a complaint that was filed with the superintendent from the union that and this is not a hearsay. This is actual documents that they have, right, about the teachers who are complaining. And again, we're speaking in public about an individual because the individual chooses to speak in public. This could have been done in the closed session, but the teachers, let's say the way it is, are complaining about Ms. Maldonado.
Right, maybe.
And they saying they cannot perform, again, for the way I understood, they cannot perform their job as they would like to perform, to the level that they, to the level they want to perform. So we have, we have people, real people, who are teachers in the district, who are asking for help, and are saying, look, we do not feel that we could work with this administrator, and that's been going on for a year and a half. We have a union chair over here.
Okay, so
where
are those teachers?
We have a union, well.
Can the union representative get up to say what the complaints are?
But Mrs. Slackton missed the part that Mrs. Maldonado said, where the superintendent didn't even speak to her for 6 years to address the complaints.
Excuse me, I've been speaking to the principal, and they're more than aware of the issues, and there was a mediation meeting, so for anyone to say they were not aware of the issues that are going on in their own school is not true.
I mean, this is not just some hearsay. This is mediation, people involved. There's a conflict going on here. So
I see the union president. Again, this is not to set a precedent here. I know, but apparently the union president.
I was asked to come up, so it's.
And there's a chain of command, I just want to say. There is a chain of command, and I deal with the principals, and the principals deal with their assistant principals.
Okay, so again, this shouldn't set a precedent, but there, I'm sorry, who asked this?
I asked her.
Oh, okay, so
is
that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so you have asked Mrs. Shaw, who did sign up, right, okay, but then chose not to speak.
Correct.
I'm sorry, we have to get better lighting.
No, that's okay. I did have a statement. I have chosen not to speak in regards to this issue. However, we did work in the buildings with the administration first, as is chain of command, and then after that, we went to the LAA president, which would have been my next step, and then I went to the superintendent. So she is aware of all the concerns that have been stated, and so that's why we did not feel that you needed to hear from the people who are asking me to speak on their behalf.
And these concerns are from the teachers who work at Clifton School?
From some staff. Obviously, I cannot say that it's for the entire staff.
Okay, is it a significant part of the staff?
Yes.
So we have complaints from significant part of the staff about an assistant principal. The superintendent, the superintendent recommends transferring because of the complaints.
Can you say the number?
I am not saying that they were directed towards Ms. Maldonado. They were directed to the building administration.
Okay.
Would you say that the number of people who made the complaints were complaining on an egregious level of behavior or incompetence, to use that word?
I'm going to, again, Ms. Shaw,
I won't speak to that.
Legal advice. This is bizarre to me. That's a legal word. But Ms. Shaw, who I have not spoken to on this issue, and nor will I at this point, but this is one of the reasons I did not want to come back, because I am here, but I will give a legal, hold on, I am giving a legal opinion. Ms. Shaw has been asked to speak by a board member. You all agreed to hear Mrs. Shaw speak. Mrs. Shaw has said what she said. She has no authority, my opinion, for the board, has no authority to start saying which teacher said what, because that would be inappropriate. We would get into a situation, but
we don't want to know which teachers. We just want to know that there are teachers.
Ms. Shaw said what she said.
Mr. There are people who suggested because somebody didn't show up, those people don't exist. It's not a hearsay. There are actual people, and we just heard from the.
There are teachers here tonight that spoke in their favor.
Correct. Well, there are, but exactly. But we also have to deal with real complaints, and not the accused board when you have a lot of teachers according to the teacher union, a significant amount of teachers who are complaining about the administration.
Mr. Zlakin, I'm going to give you legal advice. Reverend Glenn, we're together on this issue. In that, Mrs. Shaw spoke English. We don't all have to extrapolate what she said. She said what she said. So, again, respectfully, you need not tell us what she said, because they heard what she said. Right? Mrs. Shaw, you spoke today? You said what you said?
Yes.
And you all heard it. And so please, that will engage people. You're all going to get into a Talmudic discourse about what she said or didn't say. Right? You agree on that? She said what she said. So now, and unless she has something else to add, which I'm not saying she should or shouldn't, but it would be inappropriate for everyone heard and can do whatever they want with it. But
I think we're in a healthy back and forth. We get a motion. Okay, if I ask for a motion to approve the transfers?
I'll second it.
Well, again, I have to say this. I'm not sure, Ms. Winters. Again, I just got these. But what are you asking specifically?
Those are the two that didn't even want to keep the superintendent. Now they want to agree with it. Really?
Again, what are you recommending or not recommending, Mrs. Winters? Are you recommending something? Again, this is like a legal question. Are you or are you not recommending something? And if you are, what are you recommending? Because you just finished telling us it's not on the agenda.
I was recommending the transfer of Annette Maldonado from Clifton Avenue Grade School to Lakewood High School, and Mr. Franklin from Lakewood High School to Clifton Avenue Grade School.
We voted on it already, didn't we?
Yes, this is the third time. We're
I
here.
did not hear
No one
the
heard it because
details
they were not
of why the transfer, why Ms. Winters was recommended. This is the first time we had notifications from both of them that they wanted to be done in public. So it's the first time I'm hearing, at least, what's behind the recommendations.
So are we rescinding the original motion that we did and didn't pass?
I'm at a disadvantage because but what I understand was but I could be corrected by the board secretary. Is that right? Okay. There was a motion, I'm asking.
Yes.
There was a motion, it was defeated.
Correct.
Yes. There's your answer. Sorry?
So it was defeated, it wasn't on
There was a motion, Mr. Bender. There's a motion and there's a second. So the board has to vote on it, so.
So we're
we have a roll call.
re-voting again?
It was already voted on.
You could re-vote on things.
It was defeated.
That's not what I understood from the attorney.
It was defeated. The last one.
So we can get to revote, so you get your votes? That's how I see it.
It was already done, we already voted on it.
It was voted on the August 10th board meeting.
Right.
August 9th, I'm sorry.
Right. So why are we voting?
Yes, so why are we going over this again for the third time?
We're voting because Mrs. Winters recommends it, Mr. Bender. That's what I'm
Well, she
supporting
recommended it last time.
because she's the superintendent and she recommends the transfer.
Legal opinion?
So why have a board that let Ms. Winters do it all?
I do not want to put it up for vote again.
My legal opinion is, I just heard, we gotta do everything in the open and public here. Ms. Winters has just stated she is not, she has made a recommendation, but she is not asking you to move forward this evening. Is that what I just heard?
I will not make the recommendation again. This evening, I do not want them to worry they're getting rice next week either, so I'm not making a recommendation. I'm
Okay, fine, let's move on to the next.
What I would like to give you is legal, okay, hold on. I'd like to give you legal advice. There seems to be, and I'm just, as everyone else here, I'm not gonna extrapolate, concerns. I would strongly recommend that the superintendent and the vice principal,
Yes.
a Lakewood High School graduate,
Yes.
I would ask that they meet.
Get together.
And there are mechanisms in the law, I'm not saying what, but how to mediate these understandings. There is professional training. I'm not saying needed or not, but there are, because I don't know, but there are ways that your superintendent, who you just reappointed, has made a recommendation. She herself has withdrawn that request for this evening. I just heard that. But I would strongly recommend, as your attorney, that a discussion, not with board members, but with the superintendent and the employee. I don't think Mrs. Maldonado would have any problem, but I'm not speaking for her. But they should get together, and the superintendent does have that authority under law to discuss and find ways to, if she feels there are issues, then there is a way to provide, clear the air, and provide necessary training, and what she feels. I'm not getting involved here who's right and wrong. You ain't getting me that, at least not.
We can move on with the.
So that has now been withdrawn. So now, that is now over. You have an assurance, excuse me, you have an assurance from the superintendent that she is not bringing this up again. So everyone can now focus on helping the public school children. And now again, that is my advice, do as you wish.
I think we should accept your recommendation and thanks Ms.
My recommendation,
Your opinion.
my legal opinion in general, thank you.
I want to thank Ms. Winters for considering and moving forward.
Thank you.
And that concludes the end of public session and also...
I'll make a motion to move
Motion.
the.
Hold on, not done yet. Just the whole Rice notice and the transfers. I'm going to go into, I need a motion to accept the additions to the agenda tonight.
Motion.
Hold on, again, I know it's a little different than it's been from what I've witnessed. There is an agenda which I received moments ago, which is 4 pages.
Yep.
So that is that. Then there is a addition to the body of the agenda.
Correct.
1 minute. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it, you're going to do it right. It's not numbered, so in the future, please number it. Is 7 pages. So is that what you're asking the board to do?
Yes.
You're talking about the chapter 226?
No, I'm talking about, again, I just got this.
So did we.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. I could just give you legal opinion. There has been a motion, or someone asked to move an agenda. I'm just trying to figure out which one.
So it's a motion to accept the additions to the agenda.
Additions to the body of the
To
agenda?
the body of the agenda.
With the agenda?
Nope, separate with the pages 1 through 7 that was in your attachments.
Okay, so that is clear. That has nothing to do with 226. Okay, so I put that here.
Transfers are included in those pages, though.
Say again?
The transfers are within those pages.
Well, actually, again,
There's no transfers
I
there.
promise you this will never happen again.
The transfers are not there, Mr. Ritzik.
Right.
They're not good. Let's be clear,
Transfers?
excuse me. My legal opinion is you are voting on the, I'm going to say it one more time, the 4 pages of an agenda and an unnumbered 7 pages. There are resignations and transfers there, but it does not include Ms. Maldonado or Major Finley. So that should clarify that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Now you do as you wish, because I'm done.
Move the agenda. And include the additions except the new business resolution and chapter 226, which I'm not including.
Okay, so I'm being told by the staff behind me that it's just to allow the addition to the body of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now you have the addenda and the 7 pages, which does not include the transfers of Major Franklin and Annette Maldonado. Is there a motion?
Motion.
you need to do this on your, that's Mrs. Secretary. When I remember Mr. Finger asking you, is that what you're asking him to do?
Yes.
The motion.
Second.
I'll do roll call. Moshi Newhouse.
Yes.
Moshi Rainsick.
Yes.
Gilberto Rodriguez.
Yes.
Isaac Slackman.
Yes.
Ada Gonzalez.
Yes.
Moshi Bender.
Yes.
So just so I'm clear, we approve the additions?
Again,
1 through
it was
7, and
quite
the body
clear,
of
but
the agenda.
is that a legal question? If it is, you
I just
just
wanted
did
for the
this for the
record.
benefit of a transparent government. 4 pages of the agenda, and I thought you just said 7 pages of what's entitled additions to the body of the agenda.
Correct.
Is that what you all thought you were voting on?
Yes.
So then you have your vote, which is approving. So, does everyone understand that? As
Yes.
a vote? Okay, I go back now to my slide.
Is there any additional business for tonight?
No. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Meeting's adjourned.
With the board president's permission, I would like to, if she is willing to speak to the parent who raised an issue as to, well, I don't need your permission, but I'd like to do it, as to what sounded like a significant child study team issue. I work for them as a whole until I don't. If that's okay, I'm letting you know I'm doing that.
Go ahead.
Good, thank you. I think
Yes.
you had a motion to adjourn. Mr. Van Buren, Mr.